All right, welcome everybody here to this showing of L&P Thunder Series, July the 30th edition. As you can see, 5 minutes on the round robin heat. We have 3 ghosts in. That's going to make it to where we always have at least one set out. We're going to be waiting here for about 5 to 10 minutes currently as we're waiting on there in the horseshoe for black braid to dry. So I'll be right back with you. Going to leave you here with the current standings. And I'll see you here just shortly, right before we start green racing. All right, looks like everybody's set up and ready to go. We saw racers going to their points. We're going to get going green racing. Looks like black's down. All right, racers, watch your lights. Here we go, round robin 1 of 10. Setting up to be a pretty good race here so far, hopefully. Glued the track in several different positions. A little bit different angle as we've had people standing right in front of the horseshoe. Now maybe we can kind of see a little bit of the horseshoe here and see a little bit more of the donut possibly. So we get a wreck taking place there. Looks like T was able to get that car put back on in a timely fashion. Looks like Jaybird there on deck. He's going to be able to hit the button and get put back in after this heat. He'll be coming in on white, go off on red, come in on white. That's how it goes. Tom Payton out in the lead right now with the 2-ply tire compound. Treated fish on the left, I believe it is, and Wonder Rubber on the right with a composite hub. But we can see there on blue lane, Tom Payton coming around the backstretch up underneath the donut portion of the track, fending off Randy Kirtley there right on his tail as he's hanging in there. Randy Kirtley and Paul Woosley getting involved in an incident. Scarborough Kirtley reaches down to grab Randy Kirtley. Paul Woosley staying alive there on black lane. Neck and neck there between him and Randy Kirtley. Tom Payton almost getting a lap as he's coming back around the donut portion there. Right behind him, we got Action Jackson back in the mix here. Not currently in the series, but practicing a little bit nonetheless. And Jack's going around the old donut right there. We see Tom Payton still out in the lead, 20 laps turned. As we can see him rolling around, trying to chase now Randy and Paul Woosley there, giving it everything he's got. As he comes around the donut portion of the track through the back stretch, back around through the donut. We can see Randy Kirtley and Paul Woosley passing Action Jackson there in the yellow and orange car. And now we see Tom Payton passing Action Jackson as he comes around the donut portion of the track, keeping it within about 16 car lengths between him and Randy Kirtley. Randy Kirtley lagging behind just a little bit from Paul Woosley down there on black, who's really giving it the beans coming around the donut portion of the track. Now here today, for those that don't know, we glued it several places here. So we got glued across here, glued across here, here, and here. And then we got it glued down here, glued here, 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 and here. So we got several places glued today to help them grip just a little bit more. So you'll see them kind of maybe hiccup just a little bit through those portions of the corners. But nonetheless, it looks like these guys are really holding their own as we see Action Jackson actually breaking up a little bit as Glenn Burden's monster car coming off there off of green lane. And didn't actually slam right into him. So that shows Jackson's skill here as he relates to the L&P series here. Kind of brake checking up, allowing people to go by as his car is a little bit slower. He's running a Champion TurboFlex chassis, which is a NASCAR by trade, but nonetheless can run in the L&P Thunder Series as long as the body's correct. And it is, as he's running a NASCAR-style Mustang body from Mid-America. The car, Glenn Burden there in the donut, as Jay Latham gives it a little bit of a love tap, it's get put back in. That monster car, of course, being silver and green for Glenn Burden, neck and neck there on the side with Tom Payton. Tom Payton inching out just a little bit as Tom Payton comes around the donut, trying to reel in his rival, Paul Woosley. Paul Woosley and Tom Payton there neck and neck. Paul Woosley down on black lane coming around the donut portion of the track. Right behind him, though, in the black car there, that is Tom Payton driving what we like to call the Batmobile car. And we can see Tom Payton gaining just about a car length and then giving it up during the S-turn portion of the track. But he made a great S-portion turn through there as him, Paul Woosley, neck and neck, dirty style. As he goes on the inside there, it looks like he's going to make the pass here around the donut. Both of them neck and neck, like I said, going around the donut here yet again. Each time I'll tell you, they're coming around the donut yet again. These guys side by side kind of running their own little race. On the inside of them, though, here comes Glenn Burden. Glenn Burden there side by side with Tom Payton. Tom Payton letting up a little bit on the purple and pink car of Paul Woosley, giving him about 2.5 car lengths there to relax. As we get a car off up underneath the bridge, Jay Latham reaches his hand in there to try to sort that out a smidge. We can see there in the donut portion of the track, Tom Payton, Glenn Burden, and Randy Kirtley. I'm sorry, Tom Payton, Randy Kirtley, and Paul Woosley. Glenn Burden coming off up underneath the bridge. So Tom Payton a little bit slow on the trigger there as Randy Kirtley, Paul Woosley side by side now, just about 4 car lengths in front of him, coming around the back stretch there. We can see that out in front right now is Paul Woosley able to tie up with Tom Payton. Literally just a couple car lengths different from each other. 44 seconds left to go in this heat, and it's a close one between Paul Woosley and Tom Payton there. Randy Kirtley about a lap down. So Glenn Burden there, 67 laps, 61 laps of Action Jackson from the Rookie Series. So the difference between first and second is you're looking at it, folks. Tom Payton there about 5 to 6 car lengths behind Paul Woosley there in the purple and pink car. Action Jackson there in the yellow car, letting Tom go on by, extending that to about 12 car lengths between him and Paul Woosley. About 2 sections, basically, of track, 16 foot or so. And it looks like Tom Payton kind of letting up a little bit, now increasing to about 3 track lengths. About a half of a track now, it seems, is about what we're looking at. Paul Woosley coming off, giving the lead back to Tom Payton as we end the heat. What a turn of events there at the end. Tom Payton taking over Paul Woosley in the donut portion of the track. Tom Payton now currently in the lead, 85 total laps. Paul Woosley right behind him by a half of a lap with 85 total laps. Randy Kirtley, 83, couple laps down. Glenn Burden, 79, and Action Jackson from the Rookie Series, 72. I'm going to leave you guys here with the current series standings. Be right back with you. All right, getting ready as we go back green racing here. Tom, your current leader right now on purple lane. Jay Latham coming in on red at the start-finish line. We'll see how well he does on his first red lane in. Tom Payton out in the lead by a smidgen. Paul Woosley right there behind him. As Paul Woosley takes advantage over Tom Payton there. Tom Payton now behind a smidgen there on purple. Paul Woosley up in the lead with the old purple and pink car. Coming around there on yellow lane on the back stretch up underneath through the donut. He's trying to reel in Glenn Burden just one lane above him. And he's going to make that pass right now on the back stretch as Glenn Burden lets up just a smidge. Now he's in no man's land by himself as he comes to reel in Action Jackson off the back stretch there, the yellow and orange car. Coming around the back stretch, he does that easily as the NASCAR down on power for sure. Paul Woosley rounding about there through the S turns a little bit. But we can see him through the backstretch. He's so quick, it's hard to even keep track of him. As we look, he passes another there, Jay Latham, on the backstretch. Paul Woosley holding it down for sure as he goes to pass Jackson yet again. So the guys that are in his main field of competition held back just a little bit, but it looks like Paul Woosley's catching up with them as he comes through the S turns there, back around through the donut portion of the track. He passes Jackson once again up high. He passes Jay also. Now catching up with some of the people in his speed category. Tom Payton up right in front of him there on purple lane. Tom Payton doing everything he can just to hold him off. He's about 3 car lengths difference from him, but Paul Woosley on a mission to make that pass. We'll see if Tom Payton's going to lift a little bit and let him go on by, or if he's going to make an issue. We get a track call, and we can see Paul Woosley about a car length and a half there at the end of the horseshoe difference between him and second place Tom Payton. So he passes Tom Payton right out of the gate as Tom Payton lifts and allows him to go by. Right behind Tom Payton is Randy Kirtley, another fierce competitor here at Lanes Raceway. All three of these guys with just a couple of laps difference between the two. We're getting another track call here, another bridge incident. Gabriel Kirtley going to correct that really quick. We go back green racing. We can see Paul Woosley on the backstretch side by side with the car of Randy Kirtley, but he's able to overpower him through the backstretch, giving him somewhat of an advantage there as Randy Kirtley is about 6 car lengths behind him already. We can see there on the inside on red, Jay Latham trying to get in the mix there off red lane with his orange and black Halloween-looking car. But it's no match for what Paul Woosley has in his car's bakery oven, supposed, right now. Up on the high side, he passes Action Jackson. Again, Jackson doing a good job keeping his car on, staying out of trouble. We'll see if he can increase the speed as we continue on here a little bit. Car coming off the track there, that car being Tom Payton, losing a couple laps there. Definitely not what you want to do when you're racing with the likes of Paul Woosley and Randy Kirtley. Paul Woosley there making that pass on Tom Payton around the donut portion. He's within about 3 car lengths as they both push the subject, trying to stay in the lead. But right there on yellow lane, we can see that Paul Woosley is really ripping it coming around the donut portion of the track, keeping within about 4 or 5 car lengths now to Tom Payton. Right behind them, Randy Kirtley. Randy Kirtley pushing the subject now as he's got his car warmed up, wanting to make that pass on Tom Payton also on the inside. As he comes around the back stretch there on the inside through the donut portion of the track, Tom Payton comes out on the horseshoe. Staying true to the game here, we can see that Paul Woosley made a lap there on Tom Payton yet again, tying Tom Payton with Randy Kirtley lap per lap. So Randy Kirtley now biding his time, running a higher than normal pace lap for Randy Kirtley. But anyways, staying there neck and neck with Tom Payton, just seeing who's going to flex off first. So come around the donut portion of the track here, we can see they're going on the backstretch. Randy Kirtley's car comes off and we get a track call. Randy Kirtley puts his car back on. He's on the backstretch now, giving about a half of a track length between him and Tom, giving Tom a little bit of flex room. But out in the lead by 3 laps, we have Paul Woosley there on yellow lane, really holding it down and showing them who's boss here today. That car been worked on, like I said, for several weeks. Today, I went and had an interview with him before the race started, and I said, "Are you doing anything to the car?" He said, "Nope." I said, "Well, if it ain't broke, don't fix it." And that looks like that category, and it's definitely working for Paul Woosley. Paul Woosley coming around through the back stretch. Right behind him, though, we have, or right in front of him, we got Randy Kirtley. Paul Woosley gaining about a car length on him on the straight stretch. That's where he's making his money, is on that straight stretch against Randy Kirtley. Randy Kirtley with a fresh new motor here. Going to take a couple heats to break that baby in, probably do a little bit of oil dousing, not to mention how well everybody's running. A lot of heat building up in a fresh motor is not necessarily a good thing. But coming around through the donut portion, we got a stalled car there. That's Action Jackson, narrowly missing Paul Woosley there on yellow lane. Paul Woosley ripping it around that yellow lane, though, as up on the high side of him, we have Glenn Burden. He might be able to get Glenn here in the next lap, but Glenn Burden really holding strong there as he's not lifting whatsoever, running really nice and deep between the two, about two and a half car lengths. Paul Woosley waiting for a mistake, but not to come on this heat as Glenn Burden held him off. Round robin 2 of 10. We got Paul Woosley out in the lead, turning an exceptional 85 laps on black lane and 88 just now on yellow. It looks like he's going to be going for that 91 lap besting there on blue lane today. 173 total laps, 86.5 is his average, 84.5 is Tom's average there in second place, right there with Randy Kirtley with 84 on average. Just one lap separates these two. Glenn Burden there with that fresh body right there in the mix with them, just only 3 laps down with him with an 82.5, definitely going to increase as he goes to the lower sides of the field. Jay Latham there was 78 right out of the gate off on red lane. And we'll see another car come in here shortly. Going to leave you guys here with some pinballs, current pinball scores here, and be right back with you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. We're going back green racing. Keep an eye on Paul Woosley. Gabriel Kirtley in on red lane this time. We'll see how he compares with Jay Latham after the heat. We see Paul Woosley coming around the donut portion of the track, still having some trouble there catching Glenn Burden. Glenn Burden holding it down on purple lane. Glenn's starting to get into his territory. He loves purple. He loves black. He loves to high-side it Bobby Pierce style when he drags that rear end around. And he's definitely giving Paul Woosley a run for his money. So they run into a little bit of traffic here. Jay Latham on the high side. Jay Latham giving Paul Woosley a little bit of the boot there coming around the donut portion of the track. Each one of these guys running pretty tight. Now we see Paul Woosley out there by himself. Right behind him, coming around the back portion of the track, we see Tom Payton about, I would say about 16 car lengths behind him, racing there neck and neck with Glenn Burden. Paul Woosley coming up on his first car here. That's Gabriel Kirtley there on the red lane. Gabriel Kirtley down on power in the back stretch and front stretch, not being able to dive bomb it as hard as he can. Gabriel Kirtley claiming before the race that if he keeps his car on, shouldn't have any problem beating Paul Woosley. We'll see if that holds true today. But as we can see so far, Paul Woosley is definitely on one as he makes the pass on the inside. Action Jackson coming off, narrowly missing a wreck underneath the bridge. We get a bridge call here, and I think we got Glenn Burden under the bridge there now. Paul Woosley was able to make it through the wreck up underneath the bridge, and he's coming around the donut portion of the track. Very intense race so far. Right in front of Paul Woosley is Jay Latham. We'll see if they get caught up again during the donut portion of the track. On the high side, Gabriel Kirtley really pushing it home, holding his own there on red lane. Losing a little bit during the backstretch. We seen Glenn Burden put his car back on. Jay Latham lifting up as the pack got a little bit thick there and a little bit of clogged artery, I suppose you would say. Down through the backstretch there, down on the inside, we have Glenn Burden yet again tied up right there with Paul Woosley. Both of them giving it everything they got. These cars here neck and neck with each other just goes to show you what the time put in will do. Of course, Paul Woosley taking a little bit of credit for helping build Glenn's car out a little bit. Quite a few works there. We see Glenn Burden getting caught up in a wreck up underneath the bridge. Up here in the horseshoe, though, we see Jay Latham there on green lane. On red lane, we got Gabriel Kirtley freshly in. Both these guys there neck and neck. Jay Latham with the new body already exceeding what he has with his previous body on the red lane. Randy Kirtley up there on white lane, holding it down as he comes off there a little bit on the horseshoe. We got a track call here as we got an issue on red lane. So a little bit of a hump there on the S portion of the track. Gabriel Kirtley experiencing a little bit of dead track issue there, I suppose. As we go back green racing. You see our leader Paul Woosley coming around the back stretch as he comes to reel in Randy Kirtley there on white lane. Randy Kirtley, like I said, down on power a little bit right now. It seems to be whether it's a motor break-in issue or a gear ratio issue, depending on whether or not, is the track didn't get called quick enough. Randy Kirtley completely colliding with Gabriel Kirtley. So we get a yellow flag. A couple of people taking advantage of the small little tenths of a second there. Have a Glenn Burden taking advantage, Jay Latham and Paul Woosley. Paul Woosley out in front of Jay by a hair. We'll see who's quick on the trigger or if there is a contest here through the S turn. And it looks like there was a little bit of a contest. It looked like almost like Paul Woosley checked him up a little bit, but nonetheless, he was able to get out in front. And now we see Paul Woosley there side by side around the donut, coming around the back stretch there with Glenn Burden yet again in the monster car. Both of these cars built almost identically to each other, and it's starting to show as they're both there neck and neck. 212 laps, Randy Kirtley, 212 laps, Glenn Burden. There may be a pass ensuing here very, very shortly. Round robin 3 of 10. We're starting to see a little bit of change of hierarchy here at Lanes Raceway about midway point through the L&P Thunder Series, which was a couple weekends ago. We started seeing some changes here. So people that were holding it down and keeping it true now seems to be falling back a little bit as technology has changed throughout the series. Different things people were doing, a lot of different things. I'd hate to speculate as much as I should. But going back green racing, we can see Paul Woosley still there neck and neck with Glenn Burden. Like I said, both these cars built out of the same garage technically. And Glenn Burden really been practicing with that new monster body built here at Lanes Raceway. As Jay Latham comes off there, getting involved in our current leader there, Paul Woosley. Just a little bit overzealous on the trigger coming around the donut portion of the track. These things happen. Also involving Tom Payton around the donut. Back to green racing, though, we can see about a half a lap was lost there for Paul Woosley as he goes to try to reel in what he can, kind of in no man's land now through the horseshoe portion of the track. We're going to fall back there to Glenn Burden and Randy Kirtley. Of course, Randy Kirtley up there on the white lane giving it up to Glenn Burden there on purple lane. Most likely not going to be able to gain that back. Like I said, Randy Kirtley there down a little bit on power. Randy Kirtley coming on the inside here, the donut portion of the track, giving the boot a little bit to Jay Latham as Jay Latham pops off on the donut. Paul Woosley now catching back up to the crew. There on the white lane, we got Randy Kirtley and Paul Woosley there neck and neck in the donut portion of the track. Someone's tire came off on the track, and we'll see whose that was, but it looks to be Tom Payton's. And he's going to put a new tire on as nobody can find his tire or wheel as it come completely off the track and took off for a flight. So he's going to get 30 seconds to change that. Got him about 10 seconds left to go before we hit the go button. I think he's got more than enough time as it's already been hit. Here we go. Going back green racing here in the donut portion of the track. Randy Kirtley and Paul Woosley there neck and neck as we see Paul Woosley take the advantage there on orange lane. Like I said, I believe Paul Woosley's trying for that 91 laps here today. His car just slapping back and forth and holding it down. His car definitely in line and pushing hard here. As he comes around toward Jay Latham again, we'll see if he's able to make that pass on the outside of the donut. That's where his gear ratio and Jay Latham's have a little bit of difference between each other. But Jay Latham had a super coast there coming around the high banks portion of the track. Paul Woosley coming off up underneath the bridge. So back green racing, Paul Woosley held back just a little bit there on orange lane. As we can see here, 52 seconds left to go. Coming around the donut, our current leader, Paul Woosley, holding it down. Coming into a little bit of traffic here on the upper portion side of the thing. First car he's going to meet, Randy Kirtley there on white lane. Coming around the donut portion, about 16 car lap or lengths different from each other. About 1.5 pieces of wood, I guess you would say. As now he's increased that portion to 1 piece of wood. Now they're neck and neck with each other. Around the donut portion, and Paul Woosley gets the boot yet again here off the inside. Jay Latham giving him a little bit of a love tap coming around the donut. Jay Latham and Paul Woosley having somewhat of a little bit of a rivalry going through the old donut portion of the track. It seems like Jay Latham stepping out just a little bit, just enough to give a little bit of a love nudge. As they come around the donut portion again, Jay Latham sends him once again, ladies and gentlemen. There may be some heat behind the collar involved there. But as I always say, if you see a coiled up snake in the grass, don't fight. Paul Woosley here, being a veteran driver, should know that maybe he should just back her off a little bit and wait on that snake for a different point to pass. But right now he's really pushing. He's wanting as much as he can get, and I can't say I blame him, but the risk is still there. As we end that heat there, we can still see our leader is Paul Woosley with 258.86 average, just turning a fresh 85. Probably could have turned a few laps more if not involved in so many incidents with him and Jay. Speaking of Jay, Gabriel and Jay, 78 to 82. That's the difference between him and Gabriel Kirtley off the red lane. And we can see that Jackson and him about 10 laps, or Jackson and Randy about 10 laps different between one another off the white lane. Going to leave you guys here with a little bit of pinball teachings from Abe Flips.
Welcome, my name is Abraham, and here I'm gonna explain to you pinball skills in...
The racers are ready.
Nudging Teil 2. Nudging im Detail. Die Richtung, in die geschubst wird, beruht auf der Richtung, in der ihr die Kugel abprallen lassen wollt. Der Abprall kann verstärkt werden, indem ihr einen Gegenstand am Spielfeld hart und kurz gegen die Kugel schubst. Der Einfluss auf das Tiltpanel ist dabei gering, hat jedoch eine starke Wirkung auf den Abprall. Manchmal jedoch reichen kurze Schläge nicht aus, weil der Abprallgegenstand zu weit von der Kugel entfernt ist. In diesem Fall müsst ihr etwas schummeln, indem ihr das Gerät verschiebt oder stärker schubst. Vergesst dabei aber nicht, dass dies meist eine Warnung mit sich bringt. Manche guten Spieler treiben die Technik sogar so weit, dass sie den Flipper mit einer Hand verschieben, während sie ihm am Zeitpunkt des Kugelaufpralls mit der anderen Hand einen Schlag versetzen. Je besser ihr werdet, desto subtiler sollten eure Rüttler sein. Ihr habt nur 2 Tiltwarnungen pro Kugel, also teilt euch diese gut ein. Leider kann man nicht jede Kugel retten und man hat einfach Pech. Wichtig ist nur, dass man den Unterschied erkennt, um aus seinen Fehlern lernen zu können. Nudge Pass. Mit dieser wichtigen Technik könnt ihr die Reichweite der Flipperfinger erhöhen. Schubst dabei den Flipper in die gewünschte Richtung. Je besser ihr die Flugbahn bestimmen könnt, desto leichter wird es euch fallen, die Kraft richtig zu dosieren. Langsame Kugeln vom Orbit. Wenn eine Kugel langsam von einem Orbit-Retour kommt und den Slingshot berührt, kann es gefährlich werden. Dies könnt ihr vermeiden, indem ihr den Flipper einen Schlag auf die Seite gebt. Kombiniert ihr den Schlag mit einem Live-Catch, wird daraus eine wertvolle Technik, die ihr oft einsetzen könnt. Beispiele. Hier versuche ich den Ball von der Gefahrenzone fernzuhalten. Der erste Schubser hat nicht gereicht, also musste ich ein zweites Mal diagonal schubsen, um einen Abgang in der Outlane zu verhindern. Hier habe ich es verpasst, die Kugel von der Gefahrenzone fernzuhalten, also musste ich einmal richtig kräftig diagonal schubsen, um ein Abgehen der Kugel zu verhindern. In diesem Beispiel war ich wieder zu langsam und die Kugel ging fast in die Outlane. Ein kleiner Vorwärtsschubser hat jedoch gereicht, um die Kugel zu retten. Hier noch einmal.
All right, going back green racing. Got to check a monitor here real quick. Make sure I didn't just screw up my microphone here. Testing, testing. All right, looks good. I just dropped it on the concrete there. Could be an issue. Get a yellow flag right out of the gate there. Jay Latham going to grab his car there and put it. Actually, it's Paul Woosley's car. Come off on white lane there. Paul Woosley, your current leader. Going up underneath the donut portion of the track, coming back around. Paul Woosley out in the lead by several laps to Tom Payton's almost 260. So about 3 or 4 laps difference between them two. Both of them running their hearts out. As we kind of flash over there to Tom coming around the donut portion of the track, we can see Tom's kind of in somewhat of a no man's land as he comes up trying to catch Jay Latham there in the orange and black car. Kind of getting a little squirrely there in the horseshoe, but he's still holding it down. Had a tire come off last heat. Up underneath the bridge, we get a wreck, and I believe Tom was involved. Glenn Burden there in 3rd place with that Monster Energy car. Every time that I see Glenn running, he keeps getting better and better, pushing harder and harder with that car. Like I said, him and Paul Woosley kind of neck and neck this race, holding it down as much as they can. Now Glenn Burden on his favorite lane, black lane, usually runs very, very competitive black lanes, running the old Bobby Pierce style there as he's right there neck and neck with Tom Payton on yellow. Just goes to show you how fast that they are motivating. Just a quick look here at the current times. We can see Glenn Burden there with a 3.40 on average, a 3.333 best lap. And so far, that's the best we've seen. So Glenn Burden definitely holding it down on black lane against the field. As he comes to reel in Tom Payton there on yellow lane, and he does so really easily. As Tom Payton kind of gives it up in the donut there, we can see that Glenn Burden is ripping it on black lane. Getting hung up there, Gabriel Kirtley there on the S portion of the track. We see Weston there quickly getting him put on. That's Wild Weston from our rookie series. We can see yet again the black lane, Glenn Burden getting hung up on the horseshoe. We just replaced that braid right there in the horseshoe. A little bit too hard of a rush, can kind of dig into the track. We did modify Glenn Burden's guide flag before he got started, kind of rounded off the front tip of it. Now, I can tell you right now, that car is definitely flying in comparison to what it was. Not getting hung up as much like you're seeing a bunch of these cars get hung up. Mid-American guide flags have that little arrow point on the end of it, and I think it's detrimental. If you don't have perfect line lane transition, you end up having an issue to where it digs into whether it be the track corner or braid that's overlaying over the track. So you definitely want to file that down unless you're just perfectly spot on, which I don't think anybody on earth is. But nonetheless, looking pretty competitive here so far. 40 and 40 is the laps turn there for Tom Payton, Paul Woosley. Paul Woodley, of course, up on that white lane, really ripping hard, trying his best to stay as much as he can. But white lane and red lane, definitely tough lanes to run. Paul Woodley, of course, our leader, going to come out after this heat and do his 3-lane set out. Staying true there, Tom Payton, down low below him is Glenn Burden there on black. It's almost like he let Glenn go by a little bit, and now he's just holding his own. But he's about 2 pieces of wood behind, about 16 foot behind and losing. As he comes through the straight stretch there, almost losing power, where it seems that Glenn Burden's car is just straight hooking up on black lane. As he gets curled across there, a little bit too overzealous around the horseshoe, Glenn Burden gives up what time that he did make up from Tom Payton. Now he's going to have to reel him in yet again, as we can see Tom Payton there about 2 planks of wood ahead of him. But Glenn's closing the gap really close. Now about a plank and a half. As we can see, he's going to pull him within a plank here. Neck and neck yet again. Glenn Burden really driving it home. As they all pull up into traffic here, he passes Jay Latham first, and he passes everybody else as everybody's off right now. And the track call button didn't work there, as it was hit twice. But now able to get people back on. Glenn Burden actually making a lap there because everybody else was off for a couple laps, Jay Latham and Tom Payton included. So now Glenn Burden's got it drawed in within 3 laps to Tom Payton. And he's doing an exceptional job there on black lane as that car is hooking up, folks, on black lane. Glenn Burden just going right past Jay Latham there. Dive bombing down low, but Jay Latham able to pull it back a little bit through the donut portion of the track. Jay Latham's car exceptionally quicker than it was Thursday night, and definitely handling a whole lot better. As we can see, Jay Latham really pushing hard the subject of how fast that car will go. Did a little bit of work on it last night, actually, and got him into the 3.3s, and we can see Jay Latham tonight pushing that subject to a 3.44, so about a tenth of a second down from pushing hard. But, you know, I like what I'm seeing here. He's kind of slowing her down a little bit to be able to keep her on. White car Paul Woodley getting put on in the backstretch there, talking about Jay Latham. Jay Latham, though, like I said, what we're seeing here per heat, doing exceptionally better by several laps. So he's definitely going to love the way that this race turns out for his current standings. Gabriel Kirtley holding it in there the best that he can, but he's down several laps to Glenn Burden. Glenn Burden there with 83 total laps, turned the most laps here in this heat with 6 seconds left to go. Glenn Burden, as we focus back in, coming off the track there, is Tom Payton. Definitely not what Tom wanted to see. Is now that 3-lap advantage has dropped to just 1 for Glenn and Tom. Glenn Burden is on his way up. He is a man on a mission, as we can see here going to the track mate. Paul Woodley, 343 laps as he sets out. Tom Payton with 337 and 336 laps of Glenn Burden. Glenn Burden was able to gain about 3 laps that heat alone. 85.8 is the average for Paul Woodley, 84.2 Tom Payton, 84 Glenn Burden. Like I said, they're neck and neck. Randy Kirtley there, 83. He's still in the mix, but he's going to have to do something. Come in here and bought a fresh set of tires during the race. He's trying to get those put on now as we're in an intermission pit break. Jay Latham there, 79.3. Gabriel Kirtley, 82.5. He's going to have to do something, too, gain that extra 0.5 to even catch Randy Kirtley. And Action Jackson, 71.5. He's right there with Jay Latham. Of course, they're rivals in the Rookie Rumble coming up next. Going to leave you guys here with the current standings for the Rookie Rumble, Little Rumble, and LMP Series. Be right back with you when we go green racing. All right, ladies and gentlemen, 4 red lights are going to drop out to green. We're going green racing. Only 51 drop frames now. I think I finally found what it is. We can't watch Twitch while we're trying to stream to it. Randy Curley getting his car put back on here as he goes to do some track marshaling. Don't forget to blip, folks. Blip here on the bottom right-hand portion of your screen. We see Action Jackson's car come off there on red lane. Sometimes you make it, sometimes you don't. But definitely don't forget to blip. As we go back green racing here, our current leader now after setouts is Tom Payton. We see our actual leader there, Paul Woosley, at the head of the donut portion of the track. My wife also helping track marshal and hit the track button when needed. Tom Payton there on orange lane as we see Action Jackson get hung up there in the donut. Nothing that Randy Curley couldn't fix really quick. But on orange lane, we see Tom Payton coming around the donut portion, kind of in somewhat of a no man's land as we get a wreck up underneath the bridge here. And we see another incident with Action Jackson there in the high banks portion of the track. Paul Woosley quickly getting him put back on. But on the backstretch there, orange, as we go back green, right behind him, Gabriel Kirtley in the silver car. Will Gabriel Kirtley be able to reel in Tom Payton? Well, it looks like he's got a good chance here. Jay Latham coming off of the horseshoe as we need a track call, but nonetheless, we get a wide open hit. Somebody got smacked. Couldn't tell you who it was, but it's under the bridge, and it was hard hit. Ben Axel on Tom, not good. I don't know whether or not he got put on the wrong lane or what happened there, but it was wide open. Whether he was watching another car, who knows? But 30 seconds there to get a new axle. We'll see if he can get that replaced in time. I think he has a backup car, too. I don't know if he's got it teched in, but that'd probably be his best bet. Yet again, as you can see, I'm not using the green screen. Folks, I can't help it, but it just gets so hot in here with that thing. But this 1080 machine back in the day, and not to mention the old 4950 or something like that, Hawaii chipset AMD Black Edition CPU really puts off the heat. If you stick your hand above this, it feels like a blow dryer on high heat. And with that green, it just makes me sweat. Also, you can see I forgot my hat at home. But nonetheless, I'm telling you, it feels a lot better in here without that around me. Also, you'll notice old Chili Dog not here today. His little white table's not set up. He stayed at home. He's been a little ornery, and he's been trying to bite the cat's butts for some reason. He's been chasing him around. He's been a handful all morning long, just yelling, screaming, bit me on my toe, just being mean. Of course, he is like a little 2-year-old puppy, but nonetheless, very irritating sometimes. So he's getting some alone time today at the house. Maybe he'll calm down by the time we get back home. 4 lights drop to a green, and here we go. Tom Payton out in the lead there on orange lane, trying his best to get as many laps as he possibly can, but it looks like he's going to suffer some loss here, folks, because he's got to work on that broke axle. So now we see Glenn Burden taking over the lead there on yellow lane. We get a yellow flag called here. Randy Kirtley reaching his arm under there. Yellow lane of Glenn Burden there coming around the upper portion of the donut. We'll see if he can reel in Gabriel Kirtley there on blue lane. As he comes through the S turns here on the green, takes it nice and easy, kind of rolling through there. About half of a track difference between Glenn Burden and Gabriel Kirtley. Glenn Burden there in about no man's land there on yellow lane as he comes through the back stretch up underneath the donut. Getting collected there by Action Jackson a little bit, but he gets put back on in a timely fashion. Both of them do. As he makes the pass on Action Jackson there on yellow lane, pushing hard through. We can see him coming around the donut portion in traffic here between Jay Latham and Gabriel Kirtley. We'll see if he can make the pass on both of these guys clean, as he is definitely pushing hard. But he ends up coming off, slipping up, coming off the donut portion of the track, losing a little bit of time there. Action Jackson coming off on red. Just seems like Glenn gets to a certain point where he gets to pushing, and he pushes just a little bit too much there around the donut portion, causing his car to come on off. As he's done several times there on yellow. Now, whether or not there's a lift on the yellow lane, I don't know, but I know that it wouldn't have been caused by Glenn simply because we did round the nose on his guide flag. We get a track call. Glenn Burden there checking the rear end of his car, I suppose. Gabriel Kirtley there at the top portion of the donut. Glenn Burden, your leader right now. Gabriel Kirtley turning the most laps of 36 there on blue, trying to make a comeuppance, I suppose you would say. As we go back green racing, focusing on our leader there, yellow on the backstretch, coming around to a yellow flag there as we seen Action Jackson's car stall out up on the red lane. Paul Woosley there to check it out. In the S turns, our leader, Glenn Burden, coming through the S turns at the beginning. Coming around the back stretch there, kind of in no man's land again. Coming up on Action Jackson. Yet again, Jackson having some struggling there on red. But thank goodness he's out of everybody else's way in his struggle lane. Of course, he's always struggled a little bit on red, but he's doing so much better as I've seen him progress miles on the red lane. Actually, being able to run several laps without wrecking. I remember when we first started working together, said we ain't moving to the next lane till you can run 10 laps without wrecking. And I remember that like it was yesterday. And here he is. He's making more than 10 laps without wrecking. Jay Latham getting his car put back up on purple. As we go back green racing, no yellow flags here, folks. We can see there on the yellow lane, we see Glenn Burden reeling in Jay Latham. Will Jay Latham try to do a nefarious deed here in the horseshoe? Who knows? But we can see that he is not lifting or letting Glenn go past him. Glenn Burden kind of taking the more professional approach here, kind of just leading back a little bit, keeping it within a car 2 length between him and Jay, waiting on Jay to go ahead and wreck on out. This is very, very good idea. We seen Jay Latham couldn't take the pressure there coming off. And on yellow lane, Glenn Burden able to make the pass. But right behind him now, from being slowed up a little bit from Jay, we can see that Gabriel Kirtley is right on Glenn's tail. So will Gabriel be able to make that pass and get another lap here? It's all up to whether or not Glenn Burden's going to allow him to go by. And as we can see, it's neck and neck racing between Glenn Burden and Gabriel Kirtley. I mean, neck and neck. Coming around the donut portion here, Gabriel Kirtley makes it on the inside and able to make the pass, but just narrowly, as Glenn Burden wasn't lifting an inch, folks. He was not going to let that happen. Action Jackson there on red, getting put back in by my wife. But what an exceptional race Glenn's been having here today. 62 total laps turned. Gabriel Kirtley there was 68. Jay Latham 61. Action Jackson 48. Great race for him. Tom Payton suffering some loss here. It's very disappointing as well of a race as he's been running today. He was definitely running podium for sure up until he got that bent axle. So sad news for Tom Payton. Maybe he'll get back in on the next heat. 48 seconds left to go. We can see Action Jackson getting himself put back on the red lane. Back to our leader. Our leader, Glenn Burden, trying to make a pass here on Jay Latham. Yet again, holding it off, just kind of keeping that intimidator posture here coming around the donut portion of the track, keeping Jay at bay the best that he can. Action Jackson having a lot of trouble coming on the hill climb portion of the donut. But nonetheless, our leader still holding it down, just biding his time. Gabriel Kirtley coming quick in tow to receive Glenn Burden. So 13 seconds left to go. We'll see if Glenn can hold him off. But it just goes to show that how long it actually takes for an individual to actually catch another person if they're both running decently paced. So Gabriel Kirtley having to really ramp it up and run as hard as he can. A 3.46 median to Glenn Burden's 3.49. And, you know, that's only 0.03 of a second, folks. So, I mean, you're talking several laps to be able to catch him. Probably 100 or so if we'd be exactly truthful here. But where Glenn Burden is kind of holding up, his median's going to increase because he's holding up next to Jay Latham's 3.57, which is about 1/10 of a second slower. So catch him within about 30 laps. So, but what Glenn's betting on is that Jay, from the intimidation of being so close to him, will go ahead and wreck on off, and then Glenn can pick up the speed again and gain that amount back. Or what we just seen right there, you know, somebody to wreck. But nonetheless, Glenn Burden turning 81 spectacular laps to be second to Gabriel Kirtley's 86. But nonetheless, what a great little heat we had there, and a good example of putting intimidation on another racer. Glenn Burden did a good job of staying behind Jay Latham and just keeping that pressure alive there without getting in front of Jay, where Jay could sometimes maybe slip out there and catch him. 417 total laps by Glenn Burden, our current leader right now. 83.4 is his average. Tom Payton, 69. 0.6. He dropped from the upper 80s all the way to that far just from a bent axle. And that's how racing goes, folks. 85.8. Paul Woosley, the highest average out there right now. Really curious what he's going to do on Blue Lane today to see if he's going to be able to bring home at 91 laps or at least tie that 90. 79.5 is the average for Jay Latham. He's right there in the mix. He's going to have to pick up the pace a little bit, though, if he wants to compete. Gabriel Kirtley, 83.7. 83 of Randy Kirtley. They're kind of a little bit of a battle going on. And rookie newcomer Action Jackson, second race in the LMP Thunder Series race here, 67.3. Not too bad for a newcomer into the series. Minute and 40 seconds. We'll be right back with you. Going to leave you with some pinball scores. All right, we're going back green racing. So we can see Randy Kirtley in now on red lane as he's rushing as hard as he can to get those averages up to beat. We got a little bit of a cluster going on here, but out in front of that cluster, we can see on orange is Glenn Burden, our current leader. Glenn Burden really putting it home. Him and Randy Kirtley, they're neck and neck. Look how nice and tight these guys are racing. Here towards the end of our LMP series, we're really reeling it in. 5 or so races left to go, and these guys are really coming into their own. So we see a car come to the outside. That was Glenn Burden's car, really collecting several cars here. Paul Woosley hitting the track call button there. Glenn Burden now trying to reel in Jay Latham, and he does so. Him and Jay Latham, they're neck and neck with one another. Jay Latham out just a little bit, getting a little bit more of an advantage of a full throttle. Jay comes off of the horseshoe, collecting Glenn Burden. We need a yellow flag here. Thank goodness for Paul Woosley over there on the button. Several cars involved in the horseshoe debacle there, costing Glenn Burden a little bit of time there. But on the outside of Glenn Burden there on green, Action Jackson, he even got caught up in it. Glenn Burden there dousing it through, able to make that turn. Jay Latham there on black lane, holding it down. But we see on the upper portion of Action Jackson, Randy Kirtley, both of them had a little neck-to-neck battle there through the S-turns. But Randy Kirtley was able to make it through in kind. Our leader now coming around the donut portion of the track, that's Glenn Burden. Glenn Burden on the orange lane, kind of in no man's lane. But right behind him, Randy Kirtley trying to pull it in there on his favorite lane, red. Randy Kirtley is one of the best red lane runners on an orange track I think I've ever seen with a flexi car, as he's able to make a pass on, and I believe we have a rider maybe. Is that a rider? No, that was Gabriel Kirtley's silver car. Sorry about that. My eyes got crossed. But Randy Kirtley making that beautiful pass there on red lane to our leader, Glenn Burden. That just goes to show you how fast he actually is on that red lane. Our leader now coming around the donut portion through the backstretch, neck and neck with Randy Curley. Randy Curley just getting that beautiful transition around the hill climb portion of the donut. It's hard to beat as Randy Curley comes into contact with his teammate driver, Action Jackson. Action Jackson actually coming off on green lane. Don't forget the blip, folks. That car having some issues staying in the lanes there around the high banks portion. It's really not so much Jackson's fault as it is possibly just car setup. Sometimes these cars set up a little bit crooked and messed up, and you have those issues. But we see Paul, and he's trying to work out whether or not that car is in a class to run around the high banks. Our leader there just in front of Action Jackson there on the orange lane. We go by green racing. Now he's going to try to reel in Randy Kirtley here. Like I said, him and Randy Kirtley, Glenn and Randy both neck and neck this whole race all along, been kind of fighting back and forth with one another. Both these guys are going to have to pick up the pace if they want to be running for the actual win, as their averages are down a little bit. But we see Action Jackson's car come off underneath the bridge. Quick on the button there, we see Tom able to get the car there as we go back green racing. We see Glenn Burden there yet again, neck and neck with Randy Kirtley up on the upper portion of red lane. Red lane for Randy, as I've just previously stated, he can come around the hill climb portion of red so quick. He's in it and out in no time, while everybody else has such a bigger radius to have to compete with. This gets him through the accelerating and braking zone of the S and horseshoe so much quicker than others. As we see Marley excited to see something go on over there. So I think she's getting ready for the next rookie rumble. She's right over there by Paul. We see Tom Payton here, though, was running up there for the upper portions of first, second, and third here. And I mean, what a race he was running all the way up until he got that bent axle. So I hate to see it, but, Tom's a good sport. He knows how it goes. It ain't his first bent axle, folks. I'm sure he'll be back in here in no time. But Glenn Burton getting himself put back on, struggling a little bit through the high banks as he gives Action Jackson a taste of his own medicine there, giving him a little bit of a love tap coming through the horseshoe. Hard hit, tucking the body underneath. Bad thing about these NASCAR bodies is once the body tucks on them, it's hard to keep them from getting tucked. So that might have caused an incident for everybody on the track. Definitely not what you want to see. But nonetheless, rubbing is racing, folks. Keep it alive, keep it 5. Right there around the red lane, Randy Kirtley's going to have to make that pass, and he does so really nice. Neck and neck there with Gabriel Kirtley down on purple lane. Gabriel Kirtley actually getting his advantage through the horseshoe where Randy gets his through the donut. Better to get it through the donut, though, because the angle's with you where the horseshoe is flat. So Gabriel Kirtley definitely going to lose a little bit of time to Randy Kirtley, and there's really nothing he can do about it. But it's very, very close. So we get several cars coming off there. Gabriel Kirtley ensued in one of those wrecks there. And Action Jackson, or no, not actually Action Jackson. It was Jay Latham there on black lane. Sorry about that. 2 orange cars. I see orange, I think Jackson, but it was actually Jay Latham. Jay Latham sending Gabriel Kirtley to the wall. Hard hit there off of the horseshoe. Jay Latham, no bars held as he's up underneath the bridge now. I think Jay Latham said that was driver error. But nonetheless, Jay Latham getting hung up there in black. Gabriel Kirtley was fixing to send the bullhorns to him, and maybe something happened there. He did get the bullhorn sent to him as he's there on the backstretch, and Glenn Burden straightening him up a little bit. Jay Latham today been a little roughhouser. Sometimes you can roughhouse, sometimes you get caught, but nonetheless, today Jay's been putting people to the wall kindly, nice little gentle rubs, a little bit of Rowdy Burns action. But I'll tell you what, it takes racers like Jay and it takes racers that race clean, kind of like Glenn, to make a good race, really. It always keeps it exciting and exceptionally done so. Now, I don't think Jay's actually intentionally doing it. I think it's just his car's stepping out a little bit more than usual and able to collect some of these guys up. Quite hilarious, to be honest. this race going by quite quick. And I'll tell you what a race it's been. Very eventful, changing in pace and seeing people drop from the podium. Action Jackson, a little bit too hard of acceleration coming through the green there. Also, our leader, Glenn Burden there, neck and neck with each other. Glenn making a pass as Jackson breaks and lets him go on through in the corner. Jay Latham and Gabriel Curley, what is going on? These guys are fighting each other through the horseshoe, beating and banging and tearing each other to pieces. Down there on the black lane, of course, Jay Latham stepping that back in and out, causing a little bit of wrecks there with Gabriel Curley. Gabriel Curley trying his best to get in front of him. But as we've seen tonight, Jay being the subject, you don't want to mess with that coiled up snake there in the grass, folks, because it bites. He has been biting everybody near him tonight. So maybe just kind of slow her down and wait for your opportunity to pass or wait for him to wreck or, I don't know what else to tell you, but this dude will put you on the wall and rubbing is racing. We do not black flag people for putting people on the wall. So I guess get good is what the kids say nowadays. So get good, learn to pass an aggressive racer, and you'll be a little bit better for doing so. But that neck and neck battle between Gabriel Curley and Jay Latham, we can see it. Jay Latham giving him the boot again as we get a car up on its lid here. And that car up on the lid was Glenn Burden, our current leader. We're coming to the end of this heat right here, but man, Jay Latham is making enemies, folks. You'd love to see it. Let's go out there and have a little word with Jay Latham and see what he thinks. Jay Latham, can I get a word with you? So, Jay, are we taking the villain role here tonight at Lane's Race? Backslide of snake cold venomous bites?
Well, it wasn't intentional. I just got hung up in that curve.
Well, that's what I was telling people. I said, I doubt it's intentional. I think it's just where that car's slipping a little bit. But, man, you have been involved in several incidents tonight, putting people off in the donuts or putting them off in the horseshoe. Very entertaining race. I'm loving it in there. I am cracking up in there, Jay. Thank you for making this race interesting.
Well, you're welcome.
Paul Woosley, you're coming back in on Red Lane. What do we expect to see from the King of Lanes Raceway currently?
Just try to hang in there.
Hang in there. All seriousness from Paul Woosley, ladies and gentlemen. For those that know Paul, usually a cutting up, cracking up kind of cat, but racing on the line, this guy's down to business. He's serious. You see him here in the donut portion of the track with this beautiful blue and pink rider. We'll see how well he fares out in the upcoming heat. 7 of 10, 1 minute and 22 seconds left to go before we go back green. A lot of slipping and sliding, a lot of dirty driving, a lot of beating and banging. That's racing here at Lanes Raceway. Be back in just a second. All right, folks. Sorry about that. Had to take a quick restroom break. By the way, here at Lanes Raceway, we pride ourselves on having one of the cleanest and best restrooms you can use. Of course, we like the good toilet paper, not the thin stuff. We do have the thin stuff if you like it better, but we do have regular toilet paper too. Also, not to mention, we do have wet wipes for those that like it. I personally like wet wipes. And we just got some fresh soap in, berry medley. And I'll tell you what, I love the way it smells. But nonetheless, back to racing. Glenn Burden, your current leader, coming out after this heat. He's in white lane, and he's driving a mean race here, as we can see, holding off Paul Woosley there on red lane. Both of them neck and neck. He gets hung up there in the S portion of the turn, getting involved with a little bit of Randy Kirtley's action there on green, too. As we get Action Jackson coming off the track there in the middle lane here. You see on that red lane there, back in the mix, Paul Woosley coming around the high banks portion of the track. You can actually see it hit. As we get a car come completely off the track in the horseshoe here. I believe that might have been Paul Woosley's car. Not for sure. We're seeing my wife's got that car in her hands. Who is it, folks? Who is it? It is Jay Latham's car coming off on yellow. Paul Woosley actually up in the high banks there. I see his car now there on red lane. As he comes through, Paul Woosley going to start gaining some of those laps. Heat 7 of 10. We're going to see Glenn Burden actually be done after this heat. 3 minutes and 34 seconds left to go. Get a little bit of an incident taking place there. Gabriel Kirtley down on black, not having the best race, not the race that he really wants to have for sure, as he's been involved in several incidents here tonight also. But we'll see if he can shape that up as we progress through the series. Jay Latham and Gabriel Kirtley yet again. Jay Latham coming off in the backstretch, getting cleared up and cleaned up by Action Jackson there on blue. On the high side there, we see Randy Kirtley and Paul Woosley, some of our front runners here. Paul Woosley kind of checking up a little bit as he goes through the red lane. I would say Paul Woosley probably has the least amount of success on red, kind of opposing forces with Randy Kirtley. Both of these guys, kings of Lanes Raceway in their own right. So we'll see if Paul Woosley can take over his first experience of being king on the orange track. So far, doing an exceptional job as he is 4 laps ahead of Randy Kirtley. This is what's going to boil down to, folks. Randy Kirtley, Gabriel Kirtley, Paul Woosley, and Glenn Burden. It's going to be tight. Two minutes and 55 seconds left to go. Glenn Burden running an exceptional race here tonight, folks. Keeping his car on. Running some good races here. Nice good coast on the cutoff of the track. We see him there in the high banks portion coming out, fixing to go up under Dead Man's Corner there on white lane. And he's holding off Gabriel Kirtley there on black lane. Right now, the most laps turned out of our racers is Gabriel Kirtley with 39 so far. Glenn Burden about 3 laps down from that on white lane. To be expected, as white lane is a very difficult lane to run. Somebody's saying black on black. That was Action Jackson. He was supposed to be on blue lane. He jumped off and got on black lane. But, you know, for all points and purposes, running a NASCAR here at Lanes Raceway, man, Jackson doing really good. 304 laps with a NASCAR, definitely not geared like these GTP cars. But he's holding his own, folks, to be coming out of the rookie series. He's getting ready for intermediate runs. We'll see if he runs in the intermediate or if he wants to go ahead and step on up into pro class in our next series coming up this October. Stay tuned for October, as you guys have seen a couple pictures being posted here. The Dusty, the Dirty, and the Filthy Five. We are planning on running several series coming up this October. We're going to be running a intermediate class, open wheel modified, which will be bodies from Mid-America. And then we'll be running a super late model class, pro class, which will be bodies from Caveman or bodies from Ralph Thorne. pretty much any 4.5-inch body on a 4-inch chassis. That way they look kind of spec real. And then also we're having our rookie rumble, which is GRCs, same thing as they are now, 929 gear ratio. And we're going to have another pro class Friday and Saturdays will be IndyCar. As we see Paul Woosley flipping out kind of funkily there in the S portion turn of the track. But yeah, several people wanting to test their skills with the IndyCar. Let me tell you, treacherous does not even go to the fullest extent of what they can be on the orange lane. They can come off on that blip portion of the track so hard that it sounds like shattering glass when they hit the high banks. So definitely gearing is going to be an issue with those and being able to keep those cars from taking off in flight. Make sure the aerodynamics is right on the front nose of those. Don't let air inside the bodies, because if you do, them IndyCars will fly on this track. But they're going to alternate just like IndyCar does in real life from an oval to a GP. We're going to have 1 week. It'll be Friday and Saturday on the orange. The next following week will be Friday and Saturday on the oval. And that's how we'll end up running the Indy Series. Get a yellow flag there. Tom Payton giving a love tap there to Glenn Burden. For some reason or another, his car didn't take off, our current leader. So we'll see if he takes off now. Glenn Burden there, of course, on the high banks, outer portion. The car next to him, Gabriel Kirtley down on black. Yin and yang, white versus black. We see Gabriel Kirtley there taking advantage of that high banks acceleration through the donut, and he's able to put the power down. In between the two, we have Ashton Jackson there on blue lane, and now we see Glenn Burden making that pass. But on the inside of Glenn Burden, we have Paul Woosley dive bombing that red, and he drove it real deep there, folks, into Dead Man's Corner and was not able to stick it. So his car coming on off. Glenn Burden, of course, staying safe, gaining about a half of a track length because of the wreck. Round robin 7 of 10. We are going to do a weigh-in after this heat. So let me get my other microphone ready as we're going to be weighing these guys in coming up next. Glenn Burden holding them off as we see Randy Kirtley now trying to bridge that gap between him and Glenn Burden. Glenn Burden not lifting here. He can't lift, folks. He's got to keep Randy Kirtley at bay as much as he can. Of course, Randy Kirtley's going to be running for the lead. So Glenn needs to kind of do like Jay's been doing and be aggressive. But he isn't. Glenn's too nice of a guy as he allows Randy Kirtley to go on by. We can see on his inside Jay Latham, and they're running neck and neck with each other. 4 seconds left to go. Glenn Burden is going to end his heat and racing in the middle of the horseshoe. All right, all racers, if you would, please bring your cars in to be weighed. Do not take your cars to the pits until they are weighed. We're going to do a quick weigh-in here. My wife's going to make sure everybody passes weight. And then we are going to move on in to the next heat. Heat 8 of 10. man, what a hot day we've been having here. Several people coming up in here. It looks like we got a bubble gummer. Is that bubble gum? Woo-wee. Tell you what, ices are getting sold here at Lanes Raceway. Come and get you one. We also sell shaved ice creams for those that like a little cream on their ices. Still waiting on several people to come back and race. Coming up next, we got Jackson, Gabriel, Randy, Jay, Paul. We got 4 of those. So waiting on the 5th, and we'll be ready to go green racing. Everybody did pass tech. But leave you guys with the current standings and be right back with you just as soon as they're ready. All right, Glenn Burden wants me to hold Gabriel Kirtley's car for 10 laps. All right, racers, are you ready? Watch your lights. Yeah, we got track marshals. How many? We got Tom and Glenn. All right, here we go, folks. Round robin, 8 of 10. My wife back there fixing ices. Delicious, delicious ices here at Lanes Raceway. Come and get you one. They're so good. And the machine is just super loud, too, because it's crunching ice. Jay Latham, your current leader here on Orange Lane. He's got 2 more heats left to roll. We can see him coming around there up underneath the donut portion side by side with Action Jackson. And we got a yellow flag. Somebody comes selling her off up into Dead Man's Corner. Carson over here experiencing himself a Cloud 9 icy here at Lanes Raceway. Woo, it's good, folks. It's good. Put you on Cloud 9. Four red lights drop out to green. We go back racing green, and here we go. Our leader, Jay Latham, in no man's land, trying to reel in Action Jackson there on the front stretch, and he does so. Beats him through the S-turns. Jay Latham's car, like I said, handling like a dream this race in comparison to Thursday's race. Thursday's race had quite a bit of trouble. Randy Kirtley passed him there on the inside as we get a track call called. Paul Woosley getting a little bit of a love boot there from Jay Latham. Jay Latham giving sweet, sweet love kisses in the horseshoe and the donut all race long. But he has informed me that it is not intentional. It's just rubbing his racing, folks. And I'm bound to just to take the man's word for it. But nonetheless, the coincidences keep stacking up. And I don't know if the temperatures are rising or not out there in the racetrack. But I do know the temperatures here in the booth are hilarious. As I do love to see a good, gentle tap of the old rear end into someone else and see them go flying. As I think some people just get sheer enjoyment out of it. Coming up next, we got the Rookie Rumble race. Definitely stay tuned for that as we're going to be getting that baby started up right after this. But our current leader, Jay Latham, kind of holding off Gabriel Kirtley. As Gabriel Kirtley comes in, he gets dive bombed down low by Randy Kirtley. Jay Latham popping off. Jay Latham right behind Paul Woosley there on Green Lane. Jay Latham now popping off yet again as he over accelerated and gets kind of dive bombed there by Action Jackson on purple, giving him a little bit of the love snoot. 3 minutes and 13 seconds left to go in this round robin, 8 of 10. Best laps turned here so far, Randy Kirtley with 35. Best lap of a 3.213, not to be bested by anyone else. 3.32 of a median on Blue Lane. Is Randy Kirtley trying to beat his own record where he got 90 on Blue? We get a track call here as we see Paul Woosley getting his car kind of straightened back up there. Or actually Randy Kirtley's car straightened back up on Blue. Right behind him, we got our leader, Jay Latham, there on Orange Lane. He's got this heat and one more, and then he'll be done. Jay Latham turning 518 laps respectively right now. Median of a 3.61, best lap of a 3.434. Running somewhere in those 3.4s a lot of the times, as we've been noticing. Paul Woosley there running a median of 3.44 and his best lap of a 3.279. Just a couple hundredths of a second difference between him and Randy Kirtley. The name of the game when you get that fast, folks, is stay on. Stay on. As we see Paul Woosley now reeling in Randy Kirtley down there on Blue Lane. Randy Kirtley putting up a great defense as we see Gabriel Kirtley's car coming off on yellow, getting put back on as a nice little gentle love nudge took place. Yet again, Jay Latham putting the blue car of Randy Kirtley out to pasture. Under the bridge, we have a wreck and a double tap on the button. Our track marshal speedily getting ready to get these cars put back on. Gabriel Kirtley up in the S portion turn of the track, currently in 4th position, 6 laps down from Randy Kirtley. Paul Woosley, 3 laps ahead of Randy Kirtley, but Randy Kirtley quickly closing that gap. Paul Woosley got to stay on his toes and definitely not get involved in any incidents. Randy Kirtley poised and waiting to pounce as both of these guys are becoming stark rivals. Paul Woosley, not a man of many words tonight, as we've seen, not a man of many words tonight, just simply because he's in his zone, folks. He's trying to get that win. And of course, me being a jokester I'm always trying to get the guys a little bit riled up, trying to get those rivalries stirred up. Makes for good racing. As we get a track call, Randy Kirtley hard hitting there through the S portion of the track. Glenn Burden having a little bit of trouble getting to the track call button. There on Blue Lane, Gabriel Kirtley, Jay Latham on his outside in the orange and black car. Randy Kirtley dive bombing her down low, and he's able to make that pass nice and clean on Action Jackson through the donut portion of the track. Coming up next is his son, Gabriel Kirtley, down on yellow, and he is far superior than Gabriel Kirtley, as Gabriel Kirtley gets completely obliterated through the S portion of the track, coming off and then immediately getting hit by Action Jackson himself. Losing a lap. Now Randy Kirtley there poised to take another lap from Gabriel Kirtley as we get a wadded up body into a car. That'd be Action Jackson's, like I told you guys earlier before, where he got that body tucked before. It's going to happen more and more often. Ralph Thorne bodies are synonymous for that kind of action. As we go back green racing, we can see our current leader, Jay Latham, coming around the donut portion of the track, leading the way right behind him. Paul Woosley, he's going to try to make a pass. Is it going to be successful? And it is, and he gives the boot to Jay Latham as if he was planning that all along, folks. We might be seeing a little bit of heated rivalries take place here as guys are now poised, lining their shots up. Shots fired, folks, giving a little bit of love touches here and there to show people that, hey, I don't want to be knocked off either. Paul Woosley there lining up what seems to be yet again 9 seconds left to go and a yellow flag as they're fixing to get ready to go to the donut. We'll see if Paul Woosley lines Jay up yet again to give him a touch. And here we go. Keep your eyes on the donut. We might see an incident here really quick. 7 seconds left to go. Paul Woosley lines him up again and sends him off to the wall there. Paul Woosley's main intention there just to give back those 3 love touches Jay got from him. Now he's giving it back in kind. The Bible calls this rendering evil unto evil. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Nonetheless, these guys are definitely doing that. Stark rivalries here and fierce competition brings out sometimes the worst in men. But we can see at the end of that heat, Glenn Burton still your leader, 575 total laps. Jay Latham, 561 with 1 heat left to go. Paul Woosley, 514. He's got 2 left to go, but don't leave Glenn out as he's coming in this next heat. Randy Kirtley got 2 left to go, 3 laps down from Paul Woosley. Gabriel Kirtley got 2 left to go. He's going to be up to the upper portions of the track, and he is several laps down from Randy Kirtley. Not a good day for Gabriel Kirtley. Jackson, 418, running a good race, keeping his car on, not causing too many incidents. Tom Payton, though, man, what a brutal orange lane he had, folks. He was running in the upper 80s here all night long. Doesn't look like we're going to see that 90 lap get broke here today, but, man, it would have been nice to see Tom make it all the way through. That orange lane really did put him in a situation that he didn't want to be in. Be right back here with you guys. I'm going to leave you with the current standings as soon as the racers are ready. All right, folks, here we go. 4 red lights going to drop out to a green, and we're going. I believe so. Glenn Burden, our only current track marshal right now. My wife's going to go out there and kind of help him out a little bit. Looks like Christy Bobby's even helping a little bit. Wife to Paul Woosley, a current front runner here right now at Lanes Raceway in the LMP Thunder Series. Jay Latham, this is his last heat, folks. He's coming out after this. He is our current leader. He's up by 50 or so laps, 40 laps or so. You see him right there at the entry of the horseshoe here. As we see him dive bomb down low there on the red lane of Tom Payton coming back in. He had to do a replacement car and get his weight and stuff right. So this car definitely not running like that previous car he had. Man, that thing was doing good too. He was definitely going to be a front runner. Probably finish somewhere second, third would have been my guess just by running those upper 80s like he was. But nonetheless, accidents happen here at Lanes Raceway as we get several car pile up there. I can hear the metal chatter trying to find a nice, easy place to put my knee that doesn't hurt it, but this thing is cutting me. They give me some rubber bumpers or something up here. Shaved ice here at Lanes Raceway, big hit. A lot of the kids really love a good shaved ice here. We come up with custom flavors here, and some of the kids trying those. Like we had Carson a while ago. He come in and got him a Cloud 9 Bahama Mama mixed with cotton candy. Sugar rush for sure. I have been seeing in the comments a lot of people saying, man, I wish I could have one, but just too much sugar. I have noticed that they do ices with sugar-free stuff, so I'm thinking about getting that for our diabetic crew for sure, and definitely get some of those down here and some sugar-free drinks. I don't know. I guess it's kind of selfish in my own aspect of the way I think. I'm a sugar-eating kind of guy, you know. Probably going to pay off its dividends towards the latter of my life, and I might end up having to drink sugar-free stuff too, but sugar-free stuff always gave me a headache, so I just assume everybody else did too. But nonetheless, we'll get some sugar-free stuff in here, drinks, monsters. There's a new sugar-free monster like strawberries and cream. It looks really good. Get one of those in here, get a couple more sugar-free drinks and icy stuff in here. And maybe you guys that really do love ices can participate in some sugar-free stuff. I think Jelly Belly even makes some sugar-free icy flavors. So we'll come up with a couple flavors for you guys, and hopefully it works out. And we can all just be kids again. That's the whole point, right? Enjoy life. Thank the good Lord for each day. What a blessing it is to be alive, and may his kingdom come for sure. I can't wait till it does, actually. Got another incident take place here. I don't know exactly what's going on here, but something's up. My wife's surely counting, because I know I'm not. And we're going back green racing, folks. Only 54 frames have dropped since we've started back our live streams. Just a reminder, if you do plan on doing any live streams, don't be watching the place that you're live streaming. For some reason or another, we had a pinball tournament on Twitch fired up the same time that we were trying to live stream to Twitch, and it gave us some serious issues. So we got a stalled car on red as Jay Latham gives a love nudge, causing him to come right off the lane there in the bottom right-hand portion of your screen. Now needing the hooks of life as Tom Payton's car took a little bit of a spill. Tom Payton having some seriously bad luck here recently with his cars on the track. But, man, having some seriously good luck, too, at the same point. His car has been very, very quick when they do run, but getting caught up in wrecks and all manners of other things. Several other people on the racetrack here. It's just a matter of time before you get involved in some incident. Randy Kirtley there at the bottom of the track there, right next to Glenn Burden's Hook of Life there on Purple Lane. Weston having a conversation there, him and Dalton with my wife in the upper right portion of the screen. And we're going back green racing, folks. Here we go. 4 red lights drop out to a green. Here we go. Let's see who's turning the most laps. So far, Randy Kirtley with 24, followed by Paul Woosley, just a hair behind him. 5:37 to 5:39. 2 laps difference separate these two. It's going to boil down to the wire here as we see Action Jackson coming off there at the bottom black lane. Not much time left to go here, folks. Did you like it, Carson? Rate it out of 10. What would you give Cloud 9? A 9 out of 10. That's high praise coming from Carson, y'all. Carson just had our Cloud 9 mixed icy here at Lanes Raceway. He gave it a 9 out of 10, folks. Love to hear it. Carson coming up next in the Rookie Rumble Series race. Just probably about 15 minutes away. Excuse me. All this talking definitely makes the throat a little raspy as we see Action Jackson getting his car put back on. Jay Latham, our current leader, he's coming around the donut portion of the track. He's holding his car in there, turning some good lap times here, almost 600 laps so far, and holding. We'll see if he'll be able to replace some races here tonight after this heat. It's looking pretty good as he already has turned 601 laps. I know a couple of his races, I think he might be on his 8th race today, so he's definitely going to keep this thing. We'll just see how he ends up finishing off. Well, like I said, he's running a very, very good race here today. Maybe causing a few incidents here and there, unintentional or not, but nonetheless having a pretty good time. Second, folks. We'll be right back with you. All right, we got another red flag stoppage. Something's going on here. I don't know who's got who or what's got what. Somebody had to go to the bathroom or who knows. Here comes Gabriel Kirtley around the track. Something's going on. Gabriel Kirtley deciding he's going to look at his car during this debacle, whatever's going on. Do not know what it is, but something's going on. Randy Kirtley and Glenn Burden getting involved. You know it's serious. Well, it was Randy Kirtley's car having some issues there on Purple Lane. 3 laps down from Paul Woosley. 12 laps down, Gabriel Kirtley. He's going to have to make something up here in the next heat or so, or at least, at the very least, hope for a lot of debacle from Paul and Randy. 2 minutes and 2 seconds left to go in the heat. And here we go. 4 red lights going to drop out to green. We're going racing. Think about Lanes Raceway next time that you're thinking about a good birthday party, because I'll tell you right now, we have the best birthday package you can think of. Come on in here or give us a call, 270-278-1400, Livermore, Kentucky, 42352, for all your birthday needs. We will shut the shop down and make it a private event for 2 hours, 30 minutes before to get set up, and 15 minutes after so that you can leave also without being disturbed. Like I said, we have the best birthday package. I can't think of anywhere else that does a birthday package as cheap as we do for as much quality as you get. We have 7 pinball machines that get turned on free play for you to enjoy, not to mention an arcade game here and a VR setup. Plus, you get 8 cars and 8 controllers for 8 individuals. Any extra after that is $10 extra, and all for the small price of $200. So definitely think about us for your next private event or birthday party. 1 minute and 6 seconds left to go. Jay Latham, your current leader, 625 laps. I'm guaranteeing you Jay is happy about 625 laps so far. Only turning 64 laps. He's about 4 laps down from the main leader, but he's second in laps turned. Gabriel Kirtley only turning 62. Must have been involved in several incidents there, kind of falling apart a little bit. Gabriel Kirtley been out of the mix here, coming to every couple races every once in a while. We'll see how he fares off, but starting out, he was undefeated there. Tells me earlier today, Donnie, I need you to build me a race winner. And I told him, I said, well, I can't do that today. It's a little bit too close to time. But I could definitely build a fast car and make it race worthy and fast enough to win. But at the end of the day, it comes down to you watching ahead of your car, making sure you don't get involved in any wrecks. And it also boils down to you being able to drive my car as I build. Jay Latham, 30 seconds left to go, turning 73 total laps. Paul Woosley, Randy Kirtley, they're neck and neck. 3 laps difference separating these two. Neither one of them giving either one of them an inch. Paul Woosley's chance here to get 90, not seeing it going to take place. Too many track calls, possibly. But sometimes track calls is what is required to be able to get that 90 laps. Simply because the track gets shut off. So we got an instantaneous yellow flag there for 2 cars coming off, one on orange, Gabriel Kirtley, and one on blue, Paul Woosley. Ten seconds left to go. Randy Kirtley, 85. Paul Woosley, 85. And Randy Kirtley is going to finish with 88 total laps, followed by Paul Woosley's 87. We are starting to see a trend here, folks. 87. Well, it looks like it took that lap from Randy Kirtley. As he had 88 laps. Hang on, let me move that out of the way. And great. Yep, he got 88, but it only said 87. And now we got a runtime error here, which is not good, folks. This is not good at all. T, take a picture of this. Oh, goodness. And it deleted it. Folks, I hope you guys were watching that. Be right back with you guys. I'm going to get some things fixed here. Be right back with you. All right, folks. So we had a little bit of an issue there. We ended up having to reset everything. We had a runtime error, so this happens sometimes. All right, racers, whenever you're ready, let me know, and we'll go back green racing. I don't know if they heard that or not, but we'll be right back with you. I'm just going to keep an eye on these guys. As soon as I hit go, we'll be back. All right, folks, here we are, the final heat here on the LMP Thunder Series race. You're going to see these guys with a couple laps. It's definitely not going to be synonymous with what is actually the laps, as everybody's starting all over, it looks like. But we had a runtime error, so what we're going to do is add these in to our round robin 9 of 10. And several wrecks happening here on the back stretch. Gabber Kirtley fixing those wrecks. Paul Woosley and Action Jackson getting involved with each other. Coming up next, our last race for the night, the Rookie Rumble. That'll be up next. It's going to be on the Tri-Oval here at Lanes Raceway for those that haven't seen it so far. But what a series of events we've had here tonight on the LMP Thunder Series, not to mention a series of events that we have had all day when it comes to streaming and for our Little Rumble series. So things can go awry. 4 minutes and 8 seconds left to go in the heat. Randy Kirtley out in the lead with 18 total laps. Tom Payton, of course, I guess he retired. We'll get a track call here. There we go, folks. From 32 laps all the way to 38, that's the difference in one heat here, folks. Get a track call here. I'm going to open up the tablet here because we might come down to the wire on a couple of these racers. Like Action Jackson, his car just hates the high banks portion of the track, having several problems here tonight with that. Right now, go ahead with Paul Woosley and add 601 laps, and Randy Kirtley add 599. So very, very close race between these two. So we get a yellow flag there. Randy Kirtley's car coming out. Car off the track there on the back stretch. That car is Glenn Burden's. Another yellow flag here. Paul Woosley coming off on purple lane. One minute and 40 seconds left to go. Got a track call, and it looks like Action Jackson coming off on the S turn portion of the track. And his car stalled. A yellow flag here. Randy Kirtley, your leader right now, 63 total laps, 64 to 62 of Paul Woosley. We get a high-speed come apart. I believe Glenn Burden and Randy Kirtley. Minute and 21 seconds left to go. get a track call and a car coming off up underneath the bridge. Lil Burton having a problem with his car there, wrecking coming out of the high banks. "22 seconds left to go, folks, and that's it for the LMP Thunder Series race here at Lanes Raceway this Sunday, July the 30th. If you can't tell, I am getting a little tired. 8 seconds left to go. Looks like 2.5, 3 laps separates the difference between Paul Woosley and Randy Kirtley. All right, folks, make sure and mark where your car is ended. Got to add up some laps. There's going to be a couple of people that's pretty close. So one moment, folks, as we get pictures taken here. Going to leave you with the current standings, and then I'll be right back with you. All right, folks, as it is, we've got it caught up into a little bit of issues here. We're waiting 3 minutes. I didn't end up getting a picture taken here. Tell you, as soon as this is up, we'll need you to get a picture of this, okay? But anyways, I missed it while I was trying to calculate the laps up and everything. So my fault, folks. We ended up having a runtime error here on the software. This software is notorious for that mess. It happens every once in a while. It usually happens at the worst optimal point that really irritates you. So it's kind of postponing us to getting into the next race. But nonetheless, we see here right now 599 laps plus 90 laps. So Randy Kirtley is a 689. Paul Woosley, 601 laps to his 87 is a 688. Jay Latham, I got him as 642. Gabriel, I got him 581 plus whatever he scored that last heat. Jackson, 486 plus whatever he scored. Tom, 362 as he didn't run in the last heat. And Glenn Burden is kind of up in the air because I got to go back on the stream here momentarily to get his score. So stay tuned with us. We're going to go ahead and end the stream now. I'm going to take care of this, and I'll see you guys on the Rookie Rumble here coming up shortly with those updated records. And thank you guys for watching LMP Thunder Series, and I'll see you in the Rookie Rumble here coming up. God bless you.